بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سبح اسم ربك الأعلى الذي خلق فسوى والذي قدر فهدى والذي أخرج المرعى فجعله غثاء أحوى سنقرئك فلا تنسى قد أفلح من تزكى وذكر اسم ربه فصلى بل تؤثرون الحياة الدنيا والآخرة خير وأبقى إن هذا لفي الصحف الأولى صحف إبراهيم وموسى بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من ألف شهر تنزل الملائكة والروح فيها بإذن ربهم من كل أمر سلام هي حتى مطلع الفجر صدق الله العلي العظيم. Skicka salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله على محمد وآل محمد. Respected brothers and sisters, Salamun alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Let's begin our gathering today with 3 long salawat, please. Tonight, the heavens weep and the earth mourns. We gather under the banner of sorrow and loyalty to honor the martyrdom of a man whose light still illuminates to this day. The great grandson of the Prophet, the treasure of knowledge, the steadfast guardian of Islam, Imam Sadeks, sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi tayyibin al-tahirin. To this blessed night, it is our honor to welcome among us a figure who carries the fragrance of knowledge and the spirit of dedication, a scholar whose words inspire hearts across the world, our dear and beloved guest, Sayyid Mohammed Qazwini. May Allah preserve him and bless him. Before we start our commemoration, we have been tasked by one of the scholars who represents the office of Sayyid Sistani to further some advice to our youth. We have translated this advice to Swedish, and they're behind you at the tables where you find your books. And I'll mention some of them. And the first one is to anchor your life in true faith. To anchor your life and your belief in God, His Messenger, and the hereafter. to restrain your desires, to be builders of goodness, to seek every chance to do what is right and avoiding what is wrong, to cherish your families, to fulfill your trusts and responsibilities, and in the spirit of our Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, to ignite within yourself an everlasting love of learning, to become proficient at your jobs. And so, as we remember the sacrifices of our Imam, Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq, a man who taught even when surrounded by enemies, who stood firm even when the world turned dark, let us pledge tonight to hold on to these teachings that are given by our scholars, and let us engrave them into our lives as a legacy for the next generation. With full hearts and eager souls, we now welcome our beloved guest, Sayyid Mohammed Qazwini, with your loudest of salawat.
حب الإمام الصادق عليه السلام صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. صلى الله عليك يا رسول الله وعلى أهل بيتك المظلومين. صلى الله عليك يا سيدي ويا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله يا رحمة الله الواسعة ويا باب نجاة الأمة يا غريب يا شهيد كربلاء فيا ليتنا كنا معكم سادتي فنفوز فوزا عظيما. I begin in the name of the Almighty God, the Compassionate, the Merciful, the one who has created everything in utmost compassion and in utmost perfection. And may the peace and blessings of the Almighty God be upon His pure and beloved messenger, the peak of His creation, the symbol of humanity, the Holy Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi. And his immaculate progeny of the Ahlul Bayt, peace be upon them, especially the leader of our time, the awaited Savior, Al-Imam Al-Mahdi, Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Faraja. May Allah hasten his reappearance and make us all amongst his sincere and dedicated servants. Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First of all, I sincerely extend to you my condolences on the martyrdom of this sixth Imam of Ahlul Bayt, this shining star of Ahlul Bayt, Al-Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad al-Sadiq alayhi salam. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us his ziyarah at the Baqi' in Medina. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us his shafa'ah on the Day of Judgment. Secondly, it is my great honor to be with you this evening here in Sweden as we have gathered in this blessed place, Mawkib Musalla al-Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam, with the Malmö Shia Youth Association. It's my honored to visit this wonderful community, to participate in these programs, as we have gathered to commemorate the legacy of our beloved Imam. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless all of you and to protect all of you. When you look at the life of Imam Sadek alayhi salam, you truly see multiple miracles in his life. Without picking up a single sword, and Imam Sadek alayhi salam transformed the entire world until today. And that is through his sciences, through his knowledge. He led a revolution in terms of knowledge. We have more than 20,000 hadiths, statements, and teachings from Imam Sadek alayhi salam. And therefore, the miracle is here. He is the most coded figure in the history of humankind. With this sheer size, sheer volume of teachings. That's truly fascinating. That's amazing to have all these teachings from this visionary leader, from this teacher. And subhanallah, he is the Imam who spoke most, who taught most, and Allah named him as-Sadiq, the truthful one. So when you look at the quantitative aspect, the quantity of his hadiths and teachings, it's a miracle. That 13 centuries ago, in the absence of modern technology, recording methods, over 20,000 hadiths just in 4 books, and we have more than these 4. That's truly amazing how he preserved the teachings for us. This is one dimension of seeing the miracle of Imam Sadek alayhi salam. The second dimension is to look at the quality of his teachings, the depth of his teachings. And truly the teachings of our Imam are miraculous. I will share with you some examples so we better appreciate the knowledge and the teachings of our beloved Imam. Imam Sadek alayhi salam did something different in his era. When it came to Islamic law, fiqhi rulings, jurisprudence, instead of telling his companions and students, this is haram, this is halal, you do it this way, you do it that way, instead of just giving them the ruling, the Imam alayhi salam taught his companions the key to unlock the principles of Islamic law. He taught them how to extract Islamic laws from the Quran and from the teachings of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that was truly miraculous for him to have that vision, that depth, and that knowledge. One of the beautiful principles that Imam Sadek alayhi salam taught is what we call the law of continuity. Dalilul istishab. To show you how the Imam trained his companions to understand Islamic law and apply those laws themselves. He would give you the keys to unlock Islamic law. One day, one of his companions by the name of Zurara. Zurara was a scholar raised by Imam Sadek alayhi salam. He approaches the Imam and he asks him a question. He tells him, Imam, tell me, if I did wudu earlier in the day, and then I doubt whether I broke the wudu or not. For instance, I dozed off, maybe I fell asleep, maybe someone used the bathroom. I don't know if I broke my wudu or not. What do I do? If I want to pray now, do I have to redo the wudu because I may have broken it? Or can I assume myself to still be in purity and tahara? What did Imam Sadiq alayhi salam teach him? The Imam taught him 4 words in Arabic. Respected brothers and sisters, these 4 words gave us principles in Islamic law. Today, scholars and maraja in the seminary, they extract thousands of laws from these 4 words. What are these 4 words? The Imam says in Arabic, لا تنقض اليقين بالشك. Do not negate certainty with doubt. Consider yourself on wudu. Look at this beautiful principle that he taught his companions. He says, you have certainty that you did wudu, right? I'd say at 12 p.m. today, you know for a fact you did wudu. But now you have a doubt, did I break the wudu or not? What do? The Imam says, don't negate that previous certainty with this doubt. Continue that state of certainty. So it means you consider yourself on tahara. Beautifully, the Imam alayhi salam taught his companions a beautiful law and how to apply it. Today, scholars in the seminaries, they use this law to extract thousands of rulings. Let me share with you a quick example here. In the Shia school of thought, one of the conditions for the one who leads Salat al-Jama'ah, the congregational prayer, is for him to have adala, to be just, to be, pious and righteous, not infallible, but to be known to be in good standing religiously, to be practicing. So now if you want to pray Jama'ah at home with your friends, the one who leads the Jama'ah has to be adil, has to be just. Let's say you have a friend who's known to be just and you normally pray Jama'ah behind them. You hear rumors about this friend, that this friend did something questionable. You hear rumors, you're not sure if it's true or not. They tell you your friend went on a vacation and he did haram things on that vacation, God forbid. Let's say you hear rumors about that, but you're not sure if these rumors are authentic or not. Now you meet your friend and you want to pray Jama'ah. Do you pray Jama'ah behind your friend or no? Apply the law of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. He's teaching us Islamic law. He says, don't negate certainty with doubt. A month ago, you had certainty that your friend is just. Now, because of some unfounded rumors, you have a doubt whether your friend lost that status. So the law that says do not negate certainty with doubt, what does it teach you? It tells you consider him to be just and pray Jama'ah behind him. You see how scholars extract this law from these 4 words? That's the miracle of the knowledge of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. When it came to Islamic law, he raised a generation of scholars, companions who were scholars. That's why all the leaders of the Sunni schools of thought, they came after Imam Sadiq because they were educated by him. He taught them how the legal system works. Hence Abu Hanifa is his student. Ash-Shafi'i, Malik, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, they're his indirect students. They're the students of his students. That's the miracle of his knowledge when it comes to the Islamic legal field. But then to more appreciate the knowledge of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, it wasn't limited to fiqh and rulings. When you come to the world of theology and how the Imam spoke about the existence of God and proving the existence of God, truly his words are miraculous. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam would frequently have dialogue and debates with atheists. He was very open. Some people think the Imams, they're very closed, they don't speak to atheists. No, that's not true. Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, sometimes in Mecca, in Masjid al-Haram, an atheist would come and object to him. The Imam would answer him. The Imam would not tell him, get out of my way, you atheist, I'm not speaking to you, why are you here? The Imam would not say that. The Imam alayhi salam would show the beautiful proofs and arguments. There was a leading atheist at the time of Imam Sadeks alayhi salam. His name was Ibn Abi al-Awja. He was a stubborn atheist. One day he meets Imam Sadeks alayhi salam, and he tells the Imam alayhi salam, God doesn't exist because we don't have a creator. The Imam tells him, okay, I have a question, answer me, very simple question. أَمَصْنُوعٌ أَنْتَ أَمْ غَيْرَ مَصْنُوعٌ? Are you created or you're not created? He said, no, I'm not created. The atheist was saying that. The Imam told him, okay, if you were to be created, how would you look like? How would the world look like? You see that simple follow-up question? Challenging his atheistic views? This atheist, Ibn Abi al-Awja, he lowered his head and he started to inspect his fingers. He said, I see depth, I see length, I see width, I see texture. And he examined the room around him. And then he said to himself, he's brainstorming, he's thinking out loud. He said, these are all the features of something that's created. See, the Imam alayhi salam shook him to his core. He told him, you don't believe this universe is created? If you wanted to think of a universe that was created, how would it look like? Any different than what you're seeing? You see dimensions, you see space. These are all signs of being created. The Imam asked him one simple follow-up question. That was over for him. He just left. He told him, I cannot continue with this debate anymore. The Imam ﷺ would show the truth through very simple ways without needing to make things complex and complicated and go into deep philosophy. Just use common sense and you'll know the truth. Another time, on another occasion, another atheist came debating the Imam. So the Imam ﷺ gave him all these proofs and arguments. He was stubborn. He kept rejecting one by one. Finally, the Imam asked him this question. He tells him, look, if what you say is true, there's no God, there's no resurrection, there's no day of judgment, and I spent my life worshiping God, and I die and I become dust and that's it, it's over, there's nothing according to what you, the atheist, says, and you spent your life not worshiping God, and you die and you become dust, aren't we equal? I became dust, you became dust. Did I lose anything by worshiping God and preparing for the day of judgment? I didn't lose anything. At the end of the day, we're equal if we're dust and there's no day of judgment. He said, okay, I agree with that. Then the Imam struck him. The Imam told him, but if there is a God and there is a day of judgment, and I spent my life worshiping God and preparing for the day of judgment, what happens to me? He told him, okay, you'll be saved. And then the Imam told him, and what will happen to you who rejected God and rejected the day of judgment? The atheist began to shake. Subhanallah. This argument of Imam Sadeks alayhi salam throughout history has made thousands of people find faith in God and become believers in God. Even in the Christian world. There was a Christian theologian by the name of Pascal. He actually took the argument of Imam Sadeks alayhi salam and he developed it into a Christian theological argument. It's called Pascal's wager. You can go online and Google it up. Pascal's wager is based on this argument of Imam Sadeks alayhi salam, that when you believe in God and in the day of judgment, you'll be safer. I used this argument myself several years ago in Canada. I was on the airplane and I had a discussion with an atheist on the airplane. So we exchanged a lot of proofs and the atheist was listening, wasn't stubborn, he was just trying to figure out the truth. So I said to the atheist, this same argument. I said, if I spent my life worshiping God and it turned out to be all false, did I lose anything now that I'm dead? The atheist said, no, you didn't lose anything. I told the atheist, but if you spent your whole life running away from God, rejecting the signs of God, what could happen to you? The atheist started to shake and broke into tears. And the atheist said, I will be in big trouble if I keep denying God. And then with tears, the atheist says, my intellect tells me to believe in God. It was a 2-hour conversation. After I used the argument of Imam Sadeks alayhi salam, the atheist said, now I've decided to believe in God. An argument that Imam Sadeks said 13 centuries ago, today you can use it on the airplane with an atheist and it will give iman and belief to that atheist. Is that not one of the miracles of Ja'far ibn Muhammad al-Sadiq alayhi salam? Truly he was a beacon of light, a beacon of knowledge just exploding from every opportunity that he had to speak to people. The advice that he would give to people, the knowledge, the sense of direction. People were confused. Through these beautiful words, he put people at peace. My dear brothers and sisters, one of the biggest acts of injustice, honestly, and I say this with humbleness as your brother, we've done against ourselves is that we've neglected the teachings of the Quran and these beautiful words of Ahlul Bayt. Imam al-Sadiq has at least 20,000 hadiths in our 4 books. How many of these hadiths do we know? How many of them have we ever read in our lives? When one hadith can change you, one hadith can open new horizons and perspectives for you. Allah has given you a treasure. The Prophet told us, after me, if you want to stay on the right path, it's simple, it's not complicated. Hold on to the Quran and my family, my Ahlul Bayt, and they shall never separate. Listen to the words of Rasulullah. They shall never separate until they meet me at the hawd, at the fountain on the day of judgment. That means this Ahlul Bayt that is tied to the Quran must be infallible, error-free. Why? Don't you all believe, don't you Muslims believe the Quran is infallible, it's error-free? Don't you believe the Quran has no mistakes, there's no falsehood in it, right? Is that not your belief? If the Prophet says the Quran, which is error-free, protected by God, infallible, if it never separates from the Ahlul Bayt, that means the Ahlul Bayt here must be infallible. Because if the one member of the Ahlul Bayt makes a sin or mistakes, in that sin, in that mistake, separates from the Quran. Because in the moment when you're sinning, you cannot be with the Quran in that moment. You separate from the Quran. The Prophet says they shall never separate until the day of judgment. And that is only in line with our belief in the 12 infallible Imams who never separate from the Quran. Let's show more appreciation to this treasure. Regardless of what you're going through in your lives, respected brothers and sisters, and Imam Sadiq alayhi salam has beautiful words of advice. Sometimes throughout our lives we go through difficulties. We go through trials and tribulations. It could be a health crisis that you're going through. It could be a financial crisis that you're going through. Struggling to find a job. Struggling to find a house. To pay your rent, to pay your mortgage. It could be a family problem that you have. And sometimes we're weakened. We get angry. Ya Allah, why is this happening to me? Here you come to the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt, come to the words of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, and he changes the way you see divine trials and difficulties. And Imam Sadiq alayhi salam states, "Lan takunu," you shall never be true Shias. You will not be our true followers until you consider bala until you consider trials and difficulties to be a blessing from God. Respected brothers and sisters, when you're going through difficulty, it means Allah is by your side and He cares about you. Because Allah is your personal coach. What does a coach do? If you have a really good coach, whether it's football, whether it's table tennis, ping pong, you name it, what does a good coach do? Let's say you're playing table tennis with your coach, and your coach sees that you have a weakness in your left arm, left hand. Where does your coach keep striking? Your right side, where you're strong, or your left side? Where does he keep striking? Right or left? Left. Why? To embarrass you? To put you through difficulty? To strengthen you. In fact, if you play with your coach and your coach keeps striking on your easy side, your right hand which is strong, that's not a good coach. Because that coach is not developing you, is not showing you where your weakness is. A good coach is one who shows you where your weaknesses are and allows you to work on those weaknesses. That's a good coach. Allah is your best coach. When you go through difficulties in your life, Allah is telling you, that's your weak spot. Work on it, Habibi. My servant, work on it. You're attached to this dunya and materialism. If I allow you to go through a financial crisis, I want you to be strong. I don't want you to be enslaved to this materialistic world. This world is far more than what you see. Think of the moral values, spirituality, generosity, the beautiful akhlaq. That's what gives you peace, not money and power and fame and recognition. Allah is your personal coach. So if you're going through difficulties in your life, consider that as a gift from God, that He loves you, He cares about you. He wants you to strengthen your soul. He wants you to heal your soul. Sometimes when you're going through an illness, you go and you get a shot. Or sometimes you vaccinate your children. It hurts. Do kids like vaccines? Right? They dread going to the doctor's office to get a vaccine. But that vaccine could save your life. That shot could save your life because it allows your body to heal. Difficulties are vaccines in your soul to make your soul heal. Because sometimes through sins, through materialism, we damage our souls. Our souls become sick, and the bala and the tribulations and the difficulties, they make your soul heal. That's a beautiful Lord who cares about you. That's what Imam Sadeks teaches us. You'll not be true followers of the Ahl al-Bayt. You'll not be true believers unless you see the bala as ni'mah, as a blessing. Let's take these words to our hearts. The more you learn to read what Imam Sadek gives us and implement it, the more you will be at peace. Today, especially in the younger generation, we have a big dilemma with mental health, depression, anxiety, loneliness. Today, modern society, how is it helping us with that? It's only getting worse and worse. Social media is only making it worse and worse. You want that peace in your heart? Go to Quran and Ahl al-Bayt. Go to the words of Imam Sadiq. The more you study his words, the more at night you will sleep with a peaceful heart. These are the beautiful teachings, and that's why we commemorate these beautiful events in the name of Ahl al-Bayt, because they truly bring us closer to Allah. They strengthen our communities. And Imam Sadiq in one hadith, he says, Wallah inni la uhibbu tilka al-majalis. The Imam says, when you sit, my followers, together and you discuss spirituality, you discuss God, you discuss your obligations, you take care of one another, you help one another. He says, I swear by Allah, I love these gatherings and these majalis. The angels descend in these majalis. Allah forgives you in these gatherings because you have gathered with good intentions to learn, to better understand the reality of this dunya, the reality of this life. Truly, the words of the Imam are very profoundly effective in our lives. But there is an obligation on us. For us, the followers of Ahl al-Bayt, there is a big obligation on us, especially today in your modern society, Today Muslims are going through many different challenges, especially in the West, in Europe. We are going through a lot of challenges. There are many who don't understand our religion, our faith. Islamophobia is on the rise. There are many out there in society who have a negative image of Islam and Muslims. It is the responsibility of every one of you here to change that perception through your akhlaq, through your behavior, through your attitude. And Imam Sadeks alayhi salam, in very powerful hadith, he says, Ya ma'ashara al-Shia, O my followers, innakum qad nusibtum ilayna. You have been attributed to us. When people look at you, they say, these are the Shia of the Imams. These are the Ja'faris, the Shia of Ja'far ibn Muhammad. Kunu lana zaynan wa la takunu alayna shaynan. Give a good image of us. Preserve our reputation. Don't be a source of disgrace for us through your actions, through your bad deeds. Every single day, respected brothers and sisters, we have to follow these words of the Imam alayhi salam. Today in your society, you have to give a positive image of the Quran and Islam. Have we honestly done that? To what extent? I'm not underestimating the good that many of you have done, but we can do more. And Imam Sadeks wants every one of us here, when you're out there in society, to inspire people through your ethical standards, through your manners, through your positive attitude, such that people are in awe. They come and ask you, who do you follow? Who gave you these manners? When it comes to your honesty, your trustworthiness, your humbleness, your willingness to help others, the Imam alayhi salam says, if you want to be my followers, I want you to be at the front lines. Be the best of the best in your communities. Be the most charitable, the most humanitarian of all people. This is the lesson for us, my dear brothers and sisters. We have a lot of work to do. Don't say it's none of my business. As long as I have my job, I have my family, that's it, I'm fine. I will be disappointing Imam Ja'far ibn Muhammad alayhi salam. He wants us to uphold the highest values and inspire the world through our behavior, through our teachings. That's why in one hadith he said, O my followers, call people to our path بِغَيْرِ أَلْسِنَتِكُمْ. Not necessarily with your tongue, with your words, with your actions. Inspire people, guide people with your actions. Through your honesty, through making society a better place, a safer place, being good citizens in your community. Set the best example for the world through your akhlaq. That's what our Imams wanted from us. But many times, unfortunately, we have disappointed our Imams. But we can always start fresh and start a new chapter to truly make our Imam proud through our contributions, through our charity, by having a strong community. The community that you have here, these programs, thank Allah for this blessing. There are many out there who don't have a sense of community. When you can go to a place, see brothers and sisters, learn from them. If you're going through a difficulty, you can ask them for help. That's one of the biggest blessings that Allah has given you. Thank Allah for uniting you on the love of Ahlul Bayt and the love of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. These majalis are aimed at inspiring us, making us better human beings, making us better servants of God, making us humble. That's how you make Imam al-Mahdi proud. Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajah. That's how you bring a smile to the Imam of your time. Now Imam Sadeks alayhi salam, as we examined, one of his biggest legacies and miracles is that he raised a generation of scholars. His companions were truly scholars. And that Imam Sadeks alayhi salam highlights the importance of scholars. If you want to be guided to the right path, either you become an expert Or you have to follow an expert. Today I find a very prevalent question from many of the youth. They are critical of, let's say, taqleed and following scholars, and they tell you there's no evidence. Why do I have to follow scholars? Where does the Quran tell me to follow scholars? Where do the ahadith of Ahlul Bayt tell me to follow scholars? Respected brothers and sisters, if we want to hold on to the truth, either you become an expert, go learn the Quran, learn the Arabic language, understand the tafsir and the exegesis of the verses. That's beautiful. The more scholars you have among your own selves, the better we will be. But if you're not an expert, if I don't understand the depths of the Quran, the book of Al-Kafi has 16,000 hadiths. Have I read them? Have you read them for you to say, I don't need scholars and experts? That's like someone saying, I don't need doctors, I don't need engineers, I don't need lawyers. Okay, if you're a doctor, fine, you don't need another doctor. You can use your own expertise. But if you're not a doctor, you're not a surgeon, and you need surgery, what do? You let yourself suffer like that without referring to an expert? The system of taqleed at its very basic core means you follow a qualified scholar whom you trust. Scholars who've spent decades in the seminaries trying to tell you what the Quran teaches, what Ja'far ibn Muhammad alayhi salam teaches. Let's appreciate their role. Otherwise, if we want to distance ourselves from the scholars and their research and their books and their works, unfortunately over time we will lose our faith. We will not be able to practice our faith properly unless you yourselves become experts, which I encourage you to do. But if I'm not an expert, I have to refer to experts. Aban ibn Taghlib was one of the companions of Imam Sadeks alayhi salam. The Imam alayhi salam, he tells him, I want you to go and sit in the masjid of Medina. وَأَفْتِ النَّاسِ. Give people rulings because I've trained you. You're my companion, I trust you. You have the proper knowledge. Go and give religious rulings, fatwa, أَفْتِ النَّاسِ. This is one evidence for taqleed, that the Imam is saying follow qualified scholars. Some people will tell me, yeah Sayyid, but that's blind following because I don't know the marja, how he arrived at these rulings. So how can I follow a marja when I don't know the process? Scholars talk about that. This is not hidden knowledge. It's accessible, and these days most of it is even available online. Secondly, if you have followed a trustworthy scholar whom you trust is doing his best to give you the teachings of Ahlul Bayt and the Quran, you don't need to necessarily see the work for every ruling. When you go to a doctor or a surgeon, when the surgeon comes to the surgery room, God forbid, let's say you have a family member who needs to undergo surgery. Do you sit in the surgery room and argue for 3 hours with the surgeon? Can you show me your work? What principle are you using here? What biological principle is being applied here? Do you do that in the surgery room? I mean, you're welcome to ask the surgeon later, show me what books did you read and what kind of method do you implement. It's okay to ask. But if you went with that surgeon who's qualified, who has a degree, who's known to perform good surgeries, if you went with that surgeon without asking the surgeon to show you the process, is that blind taqleed? I'm asking you, is that blind following? Why is that not blind following? You don't know what process the surgeon is using. Because you trust, you've done your research, this is a qualified surgeon. I trust that the surgeon is using the best of his knowledge and expertise to do the surgery. That's not blind following. It's very simple. When you follow a qualified scholar, you've done your research to verify that this scholar is trustworthy, spent an entire lifetime studying the teachings of Ahlul Bayt. That is not blind following. The blind following that the Quran condemns and the hadiths condemn are those who followed without evidence, without rational evidence at all in terms of your belief system. The people of Mecca would say, no, we worship the idols because our parents said so, the elders said so.
Okay, who gave them that authority? Are they experts? Did they get their knowledge from God? And they're advocating for a false belief? That's blind following. Or when we follow other than the Ahlul Bayt, because the Prophet said, my family and the Quran. If I follow others, yes, that is blind following. Because who authorized those others to give you religious rulings? But if you follow qualified scholars who tell you what the Ahlul Bayt said, that is not blind following. And so let's appreciate the role of scholars and the sacrifices they've done throughout history. Without those sacrifices, brothers and sisters, we would not be here today. The iman that you have, the knowledge that you have, the vision that you have, the guidance that you have is the result of more than 1,000 years of scholarly work and sacrifice. And you know in what conditions many of these scholars struggled in order for us to know our faith? I'll just give you one small example as we conclude. One of the past maraja of the holy city of Najaf, Ayatollah Hakim, may Allah bless his soul, Sayyid Muhsin al-Hakim. He was writing his encyclopedia in fiqh. It's called Al-Mustamsak. It's a very beautiful encyclopedia in Islamic law. He shows you the work. All these rulings that the scholars have, he shows you the work. This is based on this verse, this is based on this hadith. If there's a contradicting hadith, how do we reconcile the contradiction? It's a beautiful work. It's very deep and well written. You know how he wrote it? In Najaf, in the heat of Najaf, and if you've gone to Iraq in the summer, you know how hot it can be. Sometimes the average summer day temperature exceeds 50, 55. He needed another book as a resource to go and read from. Because when scholars write their books, they read thousands of other books to increase their knowledge and make sure that the knowledge they're giving is authentic knowledge. So he needed a book, but he was poor. He couldn't afford buying that book. This is when he was younger. He had a friend who had that book. So he went to his friend, he knocked at his door. He told him, can you give me this book so I can borrow it? Because I'm writing a legal work. He told him, no, sorry, I'm not going to give the book to you. He told him, why? He's like, I'm afraid you might lose it. I love my books, they're precious, I'm not going to give it to you. By the way, in the past, like 80 years ago, 100 years ago, books were very valuable and precious. Today, books are easily printed, but in the past, those old manuscripts and book had a lot of value. So his friend refused to give him that book, that resource, that source. He told him, okay, I'll come to your house and I'll read and do my research in your house and I'll give the book back to you in your house. That way I don't take it to my house. Deal? He's like, no, sorry. He's like, why? He's like, my house is not big. It's a small house. If you want to come to my house every day, you're going to disturb my family, my wife and daughters. They're going to have to wear hijab, go in another room. Sorry, that's not going to work. He told him, okay. Last try. I'll come to your house. I'll take the book. I'll sit outside your house under the sun by the doorstep. And I'll do my research there. And I'll give you back the book. Is that okay? He said, okay, I'm okay with that. He spent God knows how many hours sitting under the hot sun of Najaf, 55 degrees. Going there, sitting and writing that research. A lot of the knowledge that we have today was written through such sacrifices. At least let's show appreciation for that, respected brothers and sisters. And that Imam Sadeks alayhi salam is the one who teaches us to appreciate scholars, because he's the one teacher in Islam who raised the greatest number of scholars. Thousands of scholars graduated from his school of teaching, from his lessons. Between Medina and Kufa, thousands of scholars. And that truly is a beautiful legacy from the life of Imam Ja'far al-Sadiq alayhi salam. But now, O believers, I want to take your hearts to the city of Medina, when one day a tragic incident happened in the house of Imam Sadeks alayhi salam. The Abbasid authority, Al-Mansur al-Abbasi, he was growing uneasy with Imam Sadeks, because Imam Sadeks, with all his teaching, he was becoming more and more popular. And the Abbasids, they hated the Imams of Ahlul Bayt because they were so pious, they were such great teachers, they were jealous of them. So finally one day Al-Mansur al-Abbasi, he sends a letter from Baghdad, because that was the capital of the Abbasid government. He sends a letter from Baghdad to his governor in Medina. Mohammed ibn Sulaiman was the governor of the Abbasid government. He tells him, my governor, I want you to go with your policemen, with the army, go to the house of Ja'far ibn Muhammad, and I want you to burn his house. Look at the injustice that the Imams had to go through. Why? What's his crime? He's the best teacher humanity saw in that era. Why do you want to burn down his house? He wanted to humiliate Al-Imam al-Sadiq. Muhammad ibn Sulaiman, this evil governor, he mobilizes his army and they go to the house of the Imam alayhi salam. And they start with the main door of the house. They set the door to fire. Was it not enough that you had already set the door of Fatima alayha salam to fire? Now this house of her grandchildren as well? This is what the Ahlul Bayt had to go through. They burned the door of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. The fire spreads in the hallways in the house, and then the women and the daughters of Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam, his children, his wife, they start to scream and yell when they see the fire coming to their rooms. They go running from one room to another room. Ya Allah, what happened to the Imam? Imagine as a parent, you see your children almost being burned and they're running from the flames. What happens to you? Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam had to witness that. He came running to extinguish the fire. When he saw what happened to his house, the Imam alayhi salam said, Ana ibn Muhammadin al-Mustafa. This happens to me when I'm the grandson of the Prophet Muhammad. Ana ibn Ali al-Murtada. Ana ibn Fatima al-Zahra. I'm the grandson of Zahra and they burned down my house, Ya Allah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala enables Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam to put out the fire, to extinguish the fire. The next day, the companions of Imam al-Sadiq, they go to visit. They see him very sad, crying excessively. They tell him, oh Imam, this is not the first time that your enemies have attacked you. This is not the first time. This happened before. Why are you impatient? Why are you crying so much like that? Why are you so sad? You know what the Imam alayhi salam told them? He told them, when I saw the women and children running from one room to the other room in my house, trying to escape and flee the fire, I remembered the daughters of Hussein in Karbalaei. I remembered my aunts in Karbalaei. I remembered Zainab when on the day of Ashura, after they killed Imam Hussein, they attacked the tents of the women and the children and they set them to fire. And those little girls of Imam Hussein, they were running from one tent to another tent to protect their lives because the flames were destroying those tents. That's why I'm crying. I remembered Karbala. That's Imam al-Sadiq alayhi salam. Whenever he had the opportunity to cry for Imam Hussein, he did so. He always remembered the tragedy of Karbala. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. وسيعلم الذين ظلموا آل محمد أي منقلب ينقلبون والعاقبة للمتقين. Raise your hands in dua. Brothers and sisters, this is a moment of istijabat dua. Allah has promised with broken hearts and tears, when believers gather, Allah will answer your prayers. I know many of you have hajat, needs. There are people struggling with their health. They've asked you for dua. This is the moment of dua. So raise your hand 5 times together. Let's all recite this blessed verse. Everyone together, raise your hand. Bismillah الرحمن الرحيم أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن أمن يجيب نسألك اللهم باسمك الأعز الأجل الأكرم يا الله 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 Ya Allah, Ya Allah, Ya Allah. O Allah, hasten the reappearance of our master Al-Imam Al-Mahdi. O Allah, all those who are ill and they've asked us for our dua, grant them a speedy recovery. Ya Allah, all those who are distressed, we ask you to give them a speedy relief. O Allah, forgive us our sins. O Allah, grant us the shafa'ah of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ila arwah al-mu'mineen wal-mu'minat la siyama amwat al-hadirin wal-mu'assisin نهدي إليهم جميعا ثواب السورة المباركة الفاتحة مسبوقة بالصلاة على محمد وآل محمد.